Hello everyone and welcome to Chrome Cardboard, your home of Cyberpunk TCG. I'm Gareth Smith and today I'm joined by my usual co-hosts of Steve and Kieran. How you both doing, lads?
Hey, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Ready to get talking about some more cards. It's been a minute.
It
Yeah,
has.
it really has. It really has. Yeah,
It
no, I'm
ha-
doing good myself as well. So excited to get chatting again.
yeah, it has been a while. And obviously there's been quite a few things that have been announced since we were last together. And so I might be worth to start off and go for that. So they actually have started off by announcing the beta event, which is going to be, did you say the 10th to the 17th of September, did you say, Steve?
Yep, that's the one.
So as part of that, they actually are going to have a beta event kit, which contains 6 booster packs, 3 random legends from a pool of 10, which I'll go over in a second, a beta kit Mantis Blade, Steve, Steve, Mantis Blade, you're in, and
Yep,
obviously a set of
Elena
dice.
playset.
And a set of dice. So obviously they've shown you what the promo looks like as well, though, so you know what you're looking at, Steve. What do you think of this as having pre-release kits from day one? Is that something you're happy to see, Steve?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's what we need. I like the fact that they're doing a beta one as well. It gets them to understand the demand of what the game's going to be like when it actually releases in November. And I think it's going to actually drive the hype even more. Like, obviously, we already know this is the most backed TCG on Kickstarter. I think it's just going to only accelerate from here, especially with these. And then when they're releasing promos like that promo is insane. Like, genuinely will need a playset.
Yeah, the second we saw it's Mantis Blade, it's probably the most talked card on Chrome Cardboard. I think every video we have talked about this card.
Because it's so damn good.
It's just so good.
Yeah, every single time we've kind of like we've ended up talking about this thing. So yeah, so that's
Is it a foil promo, do we know?
I haven't seen, but I would like to assume. But you know what they say, you should never assume. I haven't
Yeah.
seen, but I'd like to assume it would be. Looking at what they've looking at what they've done with everything else, I would like to think they would be. The other thing to talk about is the pool of legends, and I actually think it's not a bad pool of legends. These, it's from 10. You'll get 3 at random from. So you'll get Adam Smasher, Ender of Legends, which might be a bit of irritating if you get that one if you don't have enough equipment and programs to and no ramp
to get
options.
to that.
That one might be a bit of a pain in the backside to get. You got Royce, Dum Dum, River Ward, then you've got Rogue Amandiris, then you've got Goro, Jackie Wells, Panam, Alt, and Judy Alves. Have we seen Rogue?
I don't think we have. I can't
No,
actually place the card.
No, she's not on. I'm just looking on the website now. She's not on there, though.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
One that hasn't been announced yet.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd
So,
be interesting to see what she does.
so obviously, from those, are there any you are hoping you draw, and is any you wanting to avoid when it comes to a pre-release event?
To be honest, pre-release, I'd probably prefer the lower cost ones.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Adam Smashers and that, where you've got a sort of ramp in pre-release, generally is not really a viable option.
It's definitely a constructed card, Adam Smasher. I think I'd be
Yeah.
looking for like maybe, like for the Go Solo ones, either Royce or
Yeah.
maybe Goro.
I think
just
Royce
see-
is a good shout.
Yeah, just any gear, especially with you getting the Mantis blades as well, and then obviously you can really make that Royce quite big with that. So, you know, that's already like a really decent unit. Pan Am's not too bad, especially if you're going to be moving gear around. I think that's a decent little one to pull. And then probably Dum Dum because it's a nice card draw. So they would probably be the best options, I think.
Now,
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, yeah, the more passive ones and the lower cost solo ones
Yeah.
will
I
probably
think
be
Alta's
better.
really powerful, but I think she's definitely more of a constructed card. I think it's really difficult in a limited format to get that to be like really
Yeah,
impactful, because you'd have to pull some really good programs to make it work.
no, definitely. See, that's the thing I'm thinking when you said pan on them. I'm like, will you get enough gear in your packs to make it viable?
You
Is
know, you're
what I was
definitely
kind
getting
of
it. You
thinking
know,
of.
you've got definitely Mantis Blades that'll be in there. Yeah, and
Yeah,
obviously, I think a lot of the gear for us with Sinners also is not exactly rare. It's not like in the higher rarities. So I think you would
Yeah,
be, because I think if you manage to get Dum Dum, River Ward, and Panam, I think you're not in a bad spot.
no,
Uh,
yeah. I think to me, there's probably 2 or 3 cards I just don't want to see. Other
yeah,
than that,
Adam
you could
Smasher,
probably
you
make
don't
them
want
work then.
to. Yeah, Adam Smasher, you're not really wanting to see. Jackie Wells, I don't really like. I like Jackie's
Mm,
card again. More feels more constructed.
yeah, a few
Um,
of them are, aren't they?
yeah,
Rogue, no
we
idea. Could be
that
great.
I really think that that might be like the best card, and we don't even know.
I know, they're just saving it to last.
Because the other good thing they've actually done as well is obviously, they're going to be at Gen Con, which, as you expected, and they said that they were fully booked up, like weeks in advance for
Yep.
people going into that. That's got to be a good sign for the game.
Yeah, absolutely,
Uh,
Definitely, yeah. It does
absolutely.
seem pretty popular at Comic Cons that they've been at so far, so it looks good. So,
and then you also have the fact, obviously, that they said that the store locator is now live, which if you haven't done so, make sure you do. Have a look, see where you can play in your local area. As you see, we're in the northwest. Not too bad for a location, lads. If you wanted to play,
yeah, we've got a few good locations, it looks like.
Yeah,
yes, got some really easy to get to locations. So yeah, well worth getting into that. So obviously that's the more recent news, but there's also been a load of cards that we haven't actually reviewed yet. So let's go through those and let's see what we think. So the first card we're going to review is Japan Town Jonin. It is a 2-cost 2-ram unit. It is a Tiger Claw, and on play, a friendly unit gains +2 power this turn, and it also has 0 power itself. I'll go to you, Steve. What are your thoughts on this card and beefing up your other card on play?
yeah, I actually quite like this. I'm not the biggest fan of the 2-cost 0 power units, but this on playability actually sees a lot, like there's a lot of viability in that sort of style of gameplay, and that on playability can just like potentially get you over the line in overtime, or um, stealing that last gig, then protecting yourself with blockers so they can't get through. So I actually think this is the best of the 2 drops we've seen in that sort of slot with no power, or they have like really restrictive abilities. I think it was Jacked in Voodoo Boys was not a fan of that card, but
No.
this one I actually really like. I'm a big fan of this. So what are you thinking, Kieran?
Sort of. I do like the card. Personally, I would prefer if it was like a 3 cost and you could slam it down at instant speed, and make someone commit to a decision first.
Yeah,
I I do like the card as a base, like base what it does. I would probably just prefer to be able to have that option on it. Maybe a
yeah,
bit more costly, and you get to play it down once your opponent's committed as well, and you see what they're going to do then, and then you can sort of react to that. I just prefer that style. Like I like to buff a character up once I've made you make your decision. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But no, I agree with you. It can win you the game or change the game if they can't stop you getting through, and you can just buff up to 10, get 2 man's gone blank. So 2 gigs. Sorry. So yeah, I do like it. I think it's still a really solid card. For me, I would just rather it was tweaked a bit. But
It's not what you want to see early, though, is it? You don't want to be seeing this in your opening hand. Because this is going to be sat there for ages. It's not going to be a card you're not going to want to play it. You definitely can't play it turn. You can't play it in your opening turn. It's literally one you need late on. So if it's this in your opening hand, you need to be getting rid of this because it literally serves no purpose early. Artwork, though, is spectacular on this.
You can't
It
sell
is.
either, can you? So, but yeah, the art's really nice.
You know, you can't sell it. It literally, it is in your opening hand. You're like, oh, why are you here? You definitely want to see this later rather than early.
Yeah.
Interesting card overall, though. So next we have Octans, which is a 7 cost, 4 RAM unit. Therefore, 2 red legends are required. It is a drone, it is a Militech, and it is a Zetatech. Play this unit for 1 Eddie less for each friendly gig with 8+ value, so a minimum of 1 Eddie. 8 power unit. Kieran, what are your thoughts on this big flying thing?
This big flying thing is, I think it's pretty good. I think this is another card which is going to be a late game card which you don't want to see in your open hand. I think if you can get yourself in the position with the gig manipulation and whatnot, then you can get this down very cheap. And there is ways, I can't remember the cards off the top of my head, but you can give this adrenaline, I think, from other cards' abilities. So no, you could be in a situation where you play this down for, I don't know, 3 or 4, and it comes in and it can swing straight away, which is pretty good. It's not my favourite card. I think it will serve a purpose and do a very good job in certain builds. So I think it's a solid enough card overall.
What about yourself, Say? I know it's one you have seen before. What do you think on this card?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I actually think it's got a bit more viability in the earlier game because obviously, like, you know, if you're on the plague, you start with you sell and then you sell, but you're rolling your gigs first. So if you roll your higher end gigs in, it's obviously very RNG dependent, but roll above 8s, then potentially getting this out on for 5 eddies, you know, on turn 2 when you're already on the plane and having an 8 cost an 8 power unit really feels really strong. And then, you know, these other ways that you can do it with, like industrial assembly and stuff like that. Like industrial assembly increases a gig by up to 4, then you get to draw the card. That makes it cheaper if it's above 8. I actually think it's got a lot more versatility with that minus Eddie ability. I actually really like the cards that do that in red, so I actually think this will be one that's quite popular.
I think as well, particularly as
Would
there's
you
some
run this
decks
as like a 2 of or?
Yeah, I think 2 of is perfect. I think it's not something you want to see in your opening hand because if you can't get above the 8, it is RNG dependent. But if it's like on them games where you're like you've rolled your 12, your D12, maybe hit a 10, then roll your D10 and hit a 9. Play this for 5 in the mid game. It's it's really strong.
Yeah.
and there's
No,
a lot of
it
other
is very
cards
strong if you
that
can
really
get
care
it.
about max gigs as well. So there's quite a lot of things that
Yeah.
or high value stuff. So in that kind of deck, this slots in perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got like Carnage at the Colosseum, which just synergizes perfectly with getting your gigs really high, and then that's just like premium removal. Then, so I just think this is I actually think this is a better card than what I initially gave it credit for. And I agree with Kieran. Like Kieran's analysis of it was actually spot on. Like you don't want to see it in your opening hand because you don't know how the game's going to pan out. You might roll your D12 and get a 2. You can't even use industrial assembly to get it above the 8 at that point because it only goes to 6.
Yeah.
So it is very dependent on like how you're rolling in that game. But the times this hits the board on turn 2 for 5 eddies, I think you just run away with it.
I think it's a big impact card, but
Yeah.
it might be a bit inconsistent.
It's very high risk, high
Yeah,
reward
yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Feels like a
A
U
lot
card
of the
and
high
that's
end
city though, surely.
cards.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I like it though. That's my play style. Like I like to do high rolly things in games, like big flashy effects, and when you pull it off, you feel like
Yeah, it feels
fantastic. But the other 8 times, you know what I mean? Like it comes off 2 times out of 10, but the other 8 times you're sitting there like I'm completely
Yeah, you want
bricked.
to
I've
rip
got
the
nothing
card
to do.
up.
Yeah.
So interesting card overall though. Definitely obviously if you're playing a red deck, it's very easy to get this above the 10, steal 2. It's all what red wants to do. Go big, get big stuff down and swing heavy. So I like it.
Absolutely.
Next we have a 3-cost program, so therefore sellable. It's 3 RAM, so again it requires those 2 red legends. It is a brain dance, and it is Bonnie and Clyde. Defeat a rival unit with power 4 or less. You may defeat 2 instead if the rival controls at least 2 gigs more than you. So, interesting card that. What are your thoughts, Steve?
I think it's brilliant. I think if you go behind in the game, just take out 2 of their blockers or 2 of their like smaller units just to, get the just to rebalance the game basically. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I think obviously in red sometimes you will be behind because of the way the game state goes. So being able to defeat 2 units is huge. But like even just defeating 1 unit, just taking out a blocker before you then get to swing in or like swing at an impactful unit, like it takes away that choice of the opponent, potentially blocking and stopping like your big swingy turn to get back in the game. So yeah, I'm a fan of this card.
So, Kira, what do you think on this blockers? What blockers card?
Yeah, no, I agree completely with Steer. I think this is a great card. I think it's going to see a lot of play. As Steve just explained, you play this down later on the game, get rid of 2 cards. If you're behind by a few, it massively impacts it and turn the back into your favour then potentially. Probably will a lot of the time. The fact that it's only 3 costs as well, it's sellable. And I can't remember the cards off my head, but there's some cards which you can probably recycle this with and get multiple uses out of it. I like any kind of removal like this. Cheap removal is always good in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm a fan of it. I'd say Steve's pretty spot on with it.
Especially when like you consider like removal in this game is actually quite expensive. I know obviously the restriction is 4 or less power, but like you want to be hitting blockers with this. But like you look at like Over the Edge, for example, is you've got to have your D20 out. You can't even play it until turn 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Until you've rolled.
This is just nice and simple, isn't it? It's like you've got 3, play it, get rid of 1 or 2.
It is actually really cheap
4,
removal.
Well?
Really cheap removal when you think about it.
This will clear Meta the Stout one, I think.
She's only 4.
Yeah, I think.
Oh no, she's 5. She's a 5.
Oh, is she? Oh, okay. I was just thinking then if you can clear that with this, that would be really good. Because I think she's going to see a lot of play. But even still, like, it clears a lot of blockers, so...
Very interesting cards. So next move on, we're into yellow now. We have a 5-cost 1 RAM unit, therefore it means you only need 1 yellow legend. It is max attack suppression team. Rival units cannot attack this turn. The rival units cannot attack the turn they are played. So it turns off any deck that allows for adrenaline. It is a 7-power unit. Kieran, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's fine. I think the base power 5/7 is fine. I think it's more of a tech card than it's going to fit in every deck. I think if the meta's shifted to a time where there's lots of adrenaline based decks and you see lots of cards with adrenaline, then this fits in perfectly as a 2, maybe a 3 off tech. If it's not, it's probably not going to see much play because it's just a 5/7 beta otherwise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's fine. The game needs cards like this which you can interchange and tech in and out depending on what matchups are. I think it's a good card. It'll do a job depending on what's going on around it.
And what about yourself? Is this one that you'd be throwing into one of your yellow decks?
Probably a one-off. I completely agree. I think the stats on it are better than what the effect is. In terms of the effect is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. That if adrenaline decks are running rampant, then you would play a higher count of this in a deck. But the stats are just better. Like the 5, like these other things you could do for 5. Okay, it's a 5 and it's 7 power. What I will say is though, you literally never turn this sideways. I don't understand. I'm surprised. I'm surprised this has been put on such a high powered unit because it's really difficult to get rid of. Because you can't rush into it straight away. Even if it is turned sideways, if they want to play like the bike in blue to just take it out really quickly, you can't because it can't attack. So I'm just surprised at how much power they've given that effect in my thought process. But Keenan's spot on. Like, you do need these type of cards in games. Like, it's a necessary evil, but I just don't think Adrenaline's that impactful from what we've seen so far. So, be interesting to see how it goes.
I think it might be one of them cards. It could be a lot better in a few sets once we've got more card pool and there's a lot more decks with viable options to do. Then all of a sudden this becomes a 2-3 off.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a fan of the fact that it turns off Yorinobu either, though, because Yorinobu in the Arasaka decks, you play the Yorinobu and then you get to play Arasaka units and then attack units straight away. Can't do that with this. So that early shout of Yorinobu being the best card in the set, they've already put a direct counter for that card in the game, which is quite interesting. But yeah, it is a necessary evil. We need stuff like this, and it will see play. How much it play, yet to be decided.
So our next yellow card is a 7-cost 3 ram yellow card. It's Ult Cunningham. So we've already seen one Ult Cunningham as a legend. Now I've got Ult Cunningham as a unit. A Mother of Demons. When a friendly equipped unit or legend is spent, draw 1 card. When a rival would steal a gig, you may discard 1 with cost equal to that gig's value. If you do, the gig isn't stolen. Now, that seems quite interesting to me. What are your thoughts, Steve, on Ult?
Powerful card, this. If you're in an equipment deck, just instantly goes in there because it just says when. Like, it doesn't say once per turn. It's just like, this could draw you multiple cards per turn. So that in itself is ridiculous for control players like myself. And then if you're drawing loads of cards, you're not really bothered about discarding anything that's an equal value to a gig to stop them from taking gigs. So yeah, it seems pretty good to me, especially if you're on the play and you get to like go Black Sapphire into this, and then you're just off to the races in terms of controlling the game.
Isn't there a legend as well that enables you to ready 1 Eddie? So you technically can ready it and go again to spend it again in effect. Which is there is a legend that has that.
Yeah.
So that goes nicely with this as well, because you literally can ready that 1 Eddie again and then
draw another
spend
card.
it again and draw another.
Yeah,
so that doesn't seem a bad thing. Kieran, is this one you'll be throwing in a yellow deck?
Oh, definitely. I think this is a really, really good card. It's very powerful. I think the first ability for me is the main reason I would be drawn to play this. Because like Steve says, it just says when. So you can literally draw a good handful of cards per turn if you've got the setup there. And as we all know, the more cards you get in the hand, the more options you get, the more chance you have of winning the game. The second ability is also really strong. I think that's just going to be a little bit less consistent. Even if you do have a big hand, you're still going to match the card value to the gig value. So even with all the preparation in the world, if it's not on your side, you may not go what you need there. But it's overall it's a very strong card, and it's a nice cost power as well to smash into someone with. So
it's going to be tedious to play against though. Like, you're going to swing at something, they go, have they got a 7-cost thing in their hand? Like, it's going to be tedious to play against. I think that'll be having good.
It is. I think it's one of them cards, as Steve said in the last one, you don't swing with this unless you have to. You just let it sit there and do the card draw. And, that's what its main thing is.
Yeah.
Very much agreed. Next, we have a 2-cost program. It is 2 ram, which means it goes in all yellow. It is the Heist, trash 4. Add a gear from amongst them to your hand. If that gear costs equal to the value of a friendly gig, you may play it for free instead. Kieran, when it comes to attaching gear for free, that doesn't seem a bad thing.
No, definitely not. I think this is a pretty solid card, to be honest. It only costs 2 to play. You can get 4, is it, into your trash?
Yeah.
And then you get your gear to hand. And then you can play the gear down for free with, what's the name? Remind me. Which one lets you equip the gears? Is it Panem and Green?
Oh, Pan Am, yeah.
Yeah, so you can combo that with this, can't you? So I think it's a good card. It's like I say, I like these little 2-cost versatile ones where you can you can sell them if you need to, you can play it if you need to, you can run a few of them in the deck. It gives you multiple options to go with. I'm a fan of it. I think there's a few combos in here which can make use of this. And
Absolutely.
getting to play anything for free is always good. Obviously, it requires a bit of setup on your end, getting the gigs and that. But yeah,
A little bit of luck as well.
Card.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's like all card games, isn't it? Like, you have to
oh yeah,
set up
absolutely.
as much as you can, and then hope you get the luck.
And then hope it comes off.
Yeah, exactly. If it does, great.
Because it's an interesting one, Steve, because obviously you don't really want to be doing this if all your gigs are high. Like, because because you're not going to have any gear that meets the criteria. You want it to be, it fits nicely by the sounds of it into that low gig value kind of deck. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think these, we can see Jackie and female V on the card there. I think Jackie, I think this is obviously designed to go in maybe a yellow-blue deck. And Jackie then gets to draw more cards, having low gear. You find gear that's low, you get to play it for free and attach it. You're getting a lot of value out of just having low value gigs, the low value street cred there. So yeah, I would completely agree. That's where I see this seeing a lot of its play. Either that or in like a card that wants to a deck that wants to recur gear or maybe programs from the trash. So again, that's also blue. Old Cunningham. If you just trash loads of programs with this, then you've got access to them with Alt straight away.
I think this works really well with blue. Like, I think
blue is the colour
really nice card to put into
it. Like,
yeah,
I would agree.
Interesting cards. So the next one we have is another program. It's a 3-cost program. It is Live with the Aftermath. Each player defeats one of their units. Now, as we've seen in other card games before, Steve, when you force your opponent to lose one of their units, make the choice, it can be really interesting. Particularly if they've only got one big thing and you've got a load of lovely little tiny little things to kill. So what are your thoughts on Live with the Aftermath? Because bear in mind, I know in Lorcana, you play a toys deck that loves a card that does something similar to this.
Yeah, no, I think I actually think this makes every single 2-cost unit that we've said is really bad so much better. Because you just get rid of those. But ideally, you play this obviously when you've got nothing on board. I've got nothing to get rid of. You get rid of your thing, and then you play the rest of your turn. But yeah, I think like obviously the one we've seen before, buff up a unit, potentially then play this afterwards, and you just get rid of the 2-cost that you've just played. That's only 5 eddies in a turn. I actually think that's quite impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like a lovely counter when someone just played a big unit you can't deal with, Kieran, done it. What are your thoughts on this one?
I love this card. I think this is awesome. Any card like this where you can just slam down for free and remove potentially a huge body off the board. Obviously, it's going to be a bit, hit or miss, maybe depending on how big your opponent's board state is, because they do get to choose. But, if they've got a few big bodies out, or if they've just got the one and you hit them, it can change the game. It's a massive impact in the game. And it's only 3 costs as well. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of it. All I would say is, if people are playing this, and you only have one unit on board, make sure you swing or do something with it first, and then play this.
No, let people
So
make
you get the value of the card.
mistakes.
Make sure you sequence your plays correctly.
Yeah, sequencing is king.
And also, don't try and use this to counter the Adam Smasher legend, because you can't, because he's a legend. Because he's not a unit.
Read the cards and the work will be done.
That's the thing, because obviously people might go, they'll put that big Adam Smasher and they just wipe the board. Haha, I've got a perfect counter. You haven't.
Yeah.
Literally, it doesn't do what you actually hope it does. If anything, it literally goes, they banish nothing, you banish nothing. Good result. So yeah, interesting card, that one. But definitely one, I think that if you've only got nothing out and they have, happy days. Can be a really good tempo swing if you've then got enough eddies to then play something with adrenaline, and yeah, really
Oh,
good
definitely.
tempo swinger at that
I
point.
think it's going to see a lot of play.
And if worst comes to worst, at least you can sell it.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's such an interesting card as well, because if you're think about being like having this played against you, and you've got a big unit that you want to keep that can potentially win you the game, or a blocker. Like, what way do you go? Do you protect yourself, or lose your big thing and set yourself back a turn? Maybe. Like, I actually find that really interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's fun to make, like, making them decisions is, well, what do you do is a good part fun of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes the
Depending
game
on board
what
size,
it.
I guess, but
Yeah, it makes the game what it is as well. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to have meaningful decisions, and I actually think
this is where you see good skill expression, knowing what to do and knowing what moves to make and what you can sacrifice. This is where you see the better players sort of shine, isn't it?
I'm looking forward to using this on Steve when he's loaded something up on the Mantis blade and thinks he's attacking for 10. I don't make the rules, it's just going to happen, sorry. So yeah, next card we've got is in green. It is a 3-cost 2 ram character. It is Valentino Street Racer. It is a Valentino, a vehicle. It gives another friendly unit with 5 cost or less adrenaline this turn on play. So that means in order to get this, obviously, you have to play 2 things for this to actually work. Kieran, what are your thoughts on this card?
I'm not massive on it, to be honest. As you just alluded to, then you've got to pay free for this, and then you've got to play something out which is a viable enough body to actually swing and do something with. So you're already sort of limited to what your cost and your power is going to be on that. There's probably some good combinations in there which you can pull off, getting a card out, a cheap card with some equipment on it, Pan Am moving equipment, gear and stuff. I think just on face looking at it, it's okay. It's probably not one of my favourite cards at the minute. Now maybe I'm undervaluing it a little bit, but what are you thinking on that, Steve?
I think it's asking to do too much personally. Like the better units that you want to use, like one of the better units you could use it for is probably Screw, and it's like, but that's 8 eddies in total. You know what I mean? You've got to have 5 to play Screw, and then 3 to play this, and then like it's just asking too much. I think maybe like, and then you think, well, maybe okay, so 6 eddies with like Swordwise Hustle, but then to get the value out of Swordwise Hustle, you need to attach another thing, attach something
Blade
to it
or something.
It's just I just think it's asking too much. I think the idea's there, but like if we get some really good cost reduction cards that are 5 or less, then I think that would be like really impactful. But right now I just think it's asking too much.
See, this is one thing I was just wondering then. Is it like, have we got any cards which specify base cost and cost? Or are we just assuming the cost?
I'm assuming you can't. I'm assuming that, like, so for like the Octank that we talked about before, I'm assuming that that's a 7 cost when it hits the board, regardless of what you paid for it.
Yeah,
I was just curious because I know usually it says base or cost, doesn't it? So that's why I was just a bit like, it could work maybe if you got that all cheap.
I still just think it's asking too much, because you'd still have to you'd have to reduce it by 2 to get it to 5, and then still have 8 eddies to give it adrenaline. Like it just.
I think this card's too expensive. I think it should have been like a 1-1 or something like that. You know, something that's the main purpose is to give something else adrenaline.
Make it a program. Make it a program. Make it be a 1 cost, and make it be like 6 cost or below. Because some of the higher value stuff, like Yorinobu in red, for example, and then giving that adrenaline would be ridiculous because you get to play another Arasaka unit alongside it anyway.
That would be worth the value, like playing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's asking too much.
Yeah, what are you thinking, Gareth?
I think it's too expensive. It's not one that I think that I'm not that impressed with. I don't get how you get regular value from this. Also, 3 power isn't exactly making it worth playing either. Because sometimes you think, okay, the ability's great, but can I do something else with it? Literally, there's nothing else you can do with it. It's literally going to die as soon as you exert it. It's not like you can reoccur it either. It's not like we don't have much getting it back. Not one for me. It's not one I can see myself playing. I like to be proven wrong, though, so if you're going to make this deck work out there, people, let me know. I'm all happy to listen to other people's work. Now we've got a 4-cost 1 Ram unit. We have Maelstrom Zealots. They are gangers, they are Maelstrom. They are, when this unit loses a fight, defeat the opposing rival unit. The unit has power 0, so it cannot steal a gig. But I know you both like playing Magic the Gathering, and I've seen some of you play Death Touch stuff. That's basically this, surely. Steve, what are your thoughts on Death Touch in this game?
Well, this makes the Voodoo Racers so much better, ironically. So, I'm a big fan of this card. I think, I love the fact that you can... I love the fact that you can play this turn 1 on the draw, because once this is out, your opponent's then going to start to think, well, actually, I don't really want to turn my bigger unit sideways or my more impactful unit sideways, because even running this into a Meredith Strauss, which is a blocker, gets something really impactful off the board. So I think it's a really versatile unit. Just running this into something, or like a Goro, for example, if they've just played their Goro go solo unit, then you run this into their other thing, and then they block with the Goro to stop that. I just think it's really interesting scenarios with it. So I think you play this as a full complement of 3 whenever you build a green deck.
No, I definitely agree. I think this is one of those that, as I say, Kieran, I've seen you as well play stuff with Death Touch in Magic.
Yeah. We love some Death Touch.
And that's what this is. And we've had similar kind of things in Lorcana as well. Steve, when you think of Cusco with a no-touchy effect. And they're usually quite popular.
Yeah, absolutely. Good cards.
So, Kieran, is this going to be one that's going to be a 4 of in any... Oh, sorry, 3 of, 4 of. I'm not using the wrong game. 3 of in any of your green decks?
I think so. I don't see why not. It just instant kills a unit, doesn't it? If you block it, you can power it up to get, so you can swing 4 gigs. What I really like about it is the versatility of it. If you're playing it with a Goro, you can turn this into a blocker easily, and then you've got a Death Touch blocker sat there. So then your opponent's like, okay, do I want to swing these big characters into there and just lose them? That for me is that I really like that. You can use it offensively or defensively. And you've got the options there to whatever suits the game state at the time. But I think it's really good. It's just one of them cards that, again, as we've mentioned a few times, makes your opponent really think about what they want to do this turn and what they're trying to achieve and how they're going to do it. Any cards that make your opponent do that are always good. It provides more opportunity for them to misplay as well, and you can take advantage. So I'm a big fan of it, and the artwork looks nice. So.
Yeah, very much.
That's always a bonus.
And when you think of it, obviously Death Touch, usually thinking swamp, so it's quite dark. It's like they've took inspiration from that a little bit as well, because obviously the image is quite dark, isn't it? And I do wonder if we're going to have a foiling on this, because the foil on the reds on that might look pretty sick.
Yeah, they will.
That would look really nice.
Next, we have a new legend. We have Judy Alvarez, Brain Dance Maestro, Ganger, Mox, Techie. When you play a Brain Dance program, give a friendly unit +1 power this turn. Exert, trash the top card of your deck. If it's a program, you may add it to your hand. Kieran, what are your thoughts on this legend?
I like it. And it's funny we were just saying that like you could combo this with the previous card to give that +1 and then swing with it for a gig and your opponent's decide not to do that. I think it's a good card. I like the fact that you can trash the top cards, and if you're playing a program heavy deck, you can add it to your hand. And then we've already seen synergies where you can get your trash recursion back as well. So if it's another program and you've still got ways to get it back, it's sort of a win-win in that situation. And whenever you play a Brain Dance, give a +1 power is pretty good, I think. Especially if you're running, like I say, a deck catered around that synergy, then you could, if you play a few Brain Dancers in a turn, you can get some of your units beefed up quite a bit. So I think it's a good card overall. It's pretty solid. And again, the artwork looks amazing on it, so yeah, I'm a fan of it.
And for me, Steve, I don't know about yourself, if you are a little bit desperate to get something in your hand that you can sell, having the ability to basically dig for a second card can't be bad, can it?
No. To be honest with you, I actually think I prefer the second ability rather than the first one. I think it just all synergizes quite nicely. I just think having cards that allow you to do more than just, right, these are the cards I've got in hand, what's my next move? This just gives you that extra option of, well, I'll dig one deeper. I'll add that to my hand. I like those types of cards. I think they work really well in control decks.
Yeah,
so
you do.
One that I'm definitely going to try out.
Very interesting card, that one. So then we're going to move on to Misty now. I'm not even going to attempt to say that last name. Who's a 3-cost, 2-ram unit. Mender of the Broken Spirit. Who's a mystic. This unit cannot attack. At the end of your turn, choose a card type, then reveal the top card of your deck. If it's that chosen card type, add it to your hands, and ready 1 Eddie. Otherwise, trash it. Units, gears, programs are the card types. We mentioned obviously previously when we looked at a card that where if you were able to use it more than once, in effect you were able to spend it more than once, you're able to draw more than one card. Does this fit into that deck, Steve?
Yeah, probably. I think this fits more with like deck manipulation, so knowing what's on the top of your deck. I know I don't think we've seen any of that at all for Cyberpunk, but this would suggest that would be coming. And I could see that being like an effect on a legend, like reveal the top card of your library. If it's a Brain Dance, do a thing, and then you know that there's a Brain Dance there, then with Misty you name Brain Dance and then add that to your hand at the end of the turn. Like that's the sort of synergies that you see with these type of cards. But I like the fact that it specifies this unit can't attack. Like essentially, the only way to get rid of this is for your opponent to exert it or like spend it. Which there is ways to do that, but do you really want to waste that on a Misty?
Right.
I find that quite interesting.
Put it down.
Bring
Royce
Royce
down
as well, I suppose. Yeah.
It's a target. If there's nothing else, at least Royce can use it on that.
Yeah. But you still would rather hit a blocker, in my
I know
opinion.
I would, but if you had nothing else, sometimes at least it's a target. You know me, Steve, I occasionally will like to just kill something because
you just can't, just because you can.
Doesn't mean you should, as the rule in card games. But anyway, Kieran, what are your thoughts on this card? Is this a card that you'll be doing much playtesting with?
I think at the minute you don't have enough effects that let you get this ability off. I think I think the ability of this card is really, really good in any card game. I think we need to see more cards which allow you to, scry as you do in Magic, or look at the top card of your deck and figure out what's there, and then you can set it up to get this, and then you get you're guaranteeing yourself the card. Some options to rearrange your deck around and whatnot. So I think it is a really good card. I think it just needs more. It needs more cards that work well with it, in my opinion, at the minute, which I don't think we have too many.
I don't think we do either, to be honest.
I'm interested to see what kind of the support, I guess, they put around it and see ways that allow us to do that. I think, yeah, on face, it can be a very good card.
Agreed. I think it does need some more support, which we don't currently have right now. But I'd say future set, this could be a card that just gets more powerful. It's a rare card as well, which I find interesting because usually, obviously, you'd like the higher rarity. In some card games, particularly, the more impactful some of those cards are. So it does feel like one potentially they are going to look to build and make stronger further down the line.
Yeah.
Last but
I
no
mean, I
means
guess
least.
the other, sorry, I was just going to say, I think the other option you could have with is if you do build a gear heavy deck, for example, and you are confident of a 50-50 chance you're going to hit something, then maybe it works in that. But it's still a lot of luck then, isn't it? So
Yeah. It's still going to miss more as many times as it. And to be fair, we all know in card games, actually, it'll probably miss more than it hits, no matter whether you get an
exactly.
80% in your deck, you're still going to miss it more often than not.
Yeah.
Last but no means least, the program. It is a 1 cost. It is a 1 ram, so we can go in anything blue. Trust no one. Decrease a gig by up to 3. If you control a min gig, draw 1. Kieran, drawing 1's never bad. What are your thoughts on trusting no one?
Jordan 1 and trusting no one, both good things to go by. No, I like it. I think it's a really good card for 1 cost. Like, you're getting a lot of value out of this card. I think it complements the blue playstyle really nicely because you see a lot of blue cards wanting to get low gigs and you're getting card draw off them. I think is it Jackie Wells, is it? It gives you the card draw as well.
Yeah,
it is.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Like I say, 1 cost, you get to manipulate your gigs, and then you can draw multiple cards if you combo this with the right cards. So yeah, big fan of it. I will be. If I'm playing blue, I see this being a free off in blue decks.
and as usual, whenever I talk about programs, even if they aren't the most impactful all the time, I always say this: at least you can always sell it, so they feel less dead in your hands. What are your thoughts on trusting no one, Steve?
Yeah, I think everything's just been covered. It's just that it's a good cantrip. You can sell it. I think with Jackie, it becomes draw 2. Pay 1, draw 2 is ridiculous.
Pretty good.
So yeah, it's a good card. I think you do just play this as a 3 of.
Yeah.
In any of the blue decks, really.
And that is our last card reveal, lads. So that obviously we'll be back again with more card reveals further down the line, and I'm sure there'll be some card reveals probably as the weeks go on, because we are getting closer and closer to the set release now, which obviously I'm sure you're all very excited that we are getting closer and closer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited for the beta stuff. I want to get out to a couple of beta pre-releases if I possibly can. I'm sure we'll all be there together. So if I can get my playset of Monsters Blades, and everyone will be happy.
No one trading these Mantis Blades. We're just going to be spiteful now. We're just literally. So
You're
obviously,
gonna be like Goldust trying to get them.
Oh no, he's not getting them off of us. Like, I'm not sorry, Steve. You have to spend money and buy them off people off the internet. So obviously, next time we come together, we have obviously we're going to start talking about decks now. I think we've reached that stage now. We've seen enough cards that, do you know what? I think we are ready to start looking at decks and deck techs and like. So when we are back next time, be prepared as we start talking about different decks and things we are finding interesting in the early part of the format. But other than that, thank you very much, lads, as always, for your company and your expertise and opinions. Obviously, thank you very much, everyone at home, for watching, and we'll be back again soon with another episode.
See ya.